This is the Peugeot 408, and it's a piece like one of those cream pizzas where you can get an alternate garnish on each side while you're feeling uncertain. While it kind of seems to be a major, thick cantina, at the back specifically there's in excess of a smidgen of SUV. It's a smidgen of basically everything. Therefore, this is a precarious vehicle to categorize. It's roomier than the comparably estimated Honda Community Cantina, yet it's difficult to envision these two being on a similar waitlist. The Skoda Octavia is somewhat more pragmatic than the 408, yet once more, feels like a free correlation. There are roadster SUV choices, for example, the Renault Arkana and Cupra Formentor that are maybe nearer, while the Citroen C5 X, with which this vehicle shares quite a bit of its makeup, has a comparative weirdo shape. It's difficult to pass judgment on the Peugeot 408's style, as well. There's no rejecting that there are a few cool subtleties, for example, the backside's incorporated spoiler and 3D blazing lights, yet the stout lower guard doesn't look so smooth. It begins on 17-inch composite wheels, yet these would look lost in the curves. Our test vehicle's 19-inch wheels function admirably, with 20s as large as they go. Front and center, the huge grille looks perfect with its body-shaded embeds, and the headlights and mark tooth-like running lights are additionally really up to date. Be that as it may, when you take the vehicle in overall it's not exactly so durable, with bunches of abnormal points battling against one another. Inside it's another story. Peugeot makes a few incredible lodges, yet this may very well be its ideal yet, with a savvy dashboard plan and superior grade, luxurious materials. It's most certainly better compared to you'd find in a Volkswagen or even correspondingly evaluated Audis. The infotainment framework is another feature. The menu configuration is smooth and simple to use, with buttons underneath the principal screen that can be customized to the capabilities you utilize the most. You additionally get remote Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. Regardless of this it's actually irritating that you need to press a button to get to the on-screen environment controls rather than simply having actual fastens and dials. It's not difficult to settle in that frame of mind back accommodating seats. However, you ought to attempt before you purchase. Peugeot has cool computerized dials with a 3D impact, yet they're intended to be seen over the controlling wheel rather than through it. A few driving positions mean the highest point of the edge clouds them. There's a lot of room for different stuff front and center thanks to an armrest cubby opening, enormous cup holders and felt-lined entryway canisters. In the back there's heaps of legroom and headroom ought to be fine for everything except the tallest travelers. The 408 is very limited, however, so fitting 3 in the back is a press. The Peugeot 408 looks quite far from a nimble games vehicle, so you're anticipating an unwinding, agreeable ride. Be that as it may, while it handles potholes and hindrances pretty well, it appears to be agitated over unpleasant, low-quality landing area. You consistently feel thunders through the wheel, which can be aggravating. However, we found the petroleum rendition was considerably more created over knocks. It's a disgrace, since when you sit in the crossbreed 408, see its tasteful lodge plan and pull away in electric just mode, it emits a calm, refined vibe. There are additionally typical and sport modes that use the petroleum motor. However, the electric mode cuts any utilization of the motor, inasmuch as you have sufficient battery charge left. There's a B mode as well, which increments regenerative slowing down to slow you more when you lift off the choke and top off the battery. It makes slow traffic more straightforward to explore, yet you'll need to utilize the brakes to reach a full stop. Discussing which, the brakes are fine when you give them a light press, however as you drive your foot down they out of nowhere get very grabby. This can gain it hard to gain smooth ground. Perceivability is nice looking forward, however peering out the back you'll battle to see much by any means. The inclining bodywork looks astounding from an external perspective, however it implies the back window is little, so you'll depend on the cameras while turning around. Ride quality is fine at higher paces, however it's here that the noisy outside sound becomes evident. Wind commotion is insignificant, however the thunder from the tires is perceptible. Our vehicle's 19-inch wheels are probable halfway to fault, with more modest wheels generally being calmer, if less tastefully satisfying. The module half-breed motor functions admirably, getting up to motorway speeds, yet entirely it's not consistent. There's the underlying punch from the electric engines, then, at that point, as that runs out of puff, the motor is sitting tight for its turbos to spool before truly pushing you on to 70 miles per hour. The petroleum doesn't have a similar punch as the half-breed, as it misses the mark on electric engine reinforcement, however it will raise you to an acceptable level quickly enough. The gearbox can be somewhat torpid in answering when you begin speeding up, yet when you're progressing the motor drones discreetly away as a blissful motorway cruiser. Bounce inside the Peugeot 408 and you'll be pardoned for thinking this is from a brand with a regularly more superior picture. It feels more upmarket than other standard vehicles, like the Volkswagen Passat, and is even a decent counterpart for a comparable Audi, like the A4 Avon. That being expressed, paying little mind to mark advance, the 408 is fairly costly, so this goes a smart method for supporting the cost. Wherever you look and contact there are excellent materials, and keeping in mind that there are scratchy plastics to a great extent, you need to go searching for them. It's dull inside however, so we'd suggest picking the all-encompassing rooftop in the event that this is a concern. However, it's a £900 choice and just accessible on top-spec GT vehicles. Luckily, there's no disturbing infotainment framework destroying the great initial feeling. There's a 10.0-inch infotainment show as standard across the reach, and it's truly simple to use with fresh, clear illustrations. The feature, however, is the programmable buttons underneath it, which let you make alternate routes to your most utilized screens. All things considered, Peugeot actually demands keeping the environment controls inside its touchscreen menus, so even with easy routes you're dependably a button press away from changing the temperature. Back to the upsides however, and remote Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are incorporated as standard on the 408, so you'll presumably utilize that at any rate. The advanced dials are another feature. You get the typical speed, fires up and trip data showed carefully, yet Peugeot made a 3D difference, which looks perfect. There's a discretionary sound framework redesign accessible for GT models. The 10-speaker central framework is generally great worth at £600, which will be scarcely recognizable on your regularly scheduled installments, yet ought to be worth the effort for audiophiles. However, recall that it eats into boot space a bit. Another slick extra is night vision, which is shown in the computerized dial screen. Despite the fact that you shouldn't drive while taking a gander at it, it can get on individuals, creatures and different impediments ahead and caution you before you even see them. There are 3 motor choices on the 408, all approaching with an 8-speed programmed transmission. The each begins with a 1.2-litre petroleum motor that makes 130 horsepower and 230 Nm of force. It's in no way, shape or form speedy, going from 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 10 seconds. However, efficiency of up to 48 miles per gallon means it ought to be modest to run. Then, at that point, there's the module half-breeds. The first is called Half and Half 180 and makes 180 horsepower and 320 Nm of force, while the second, called Crossover 225, makes 225 horsepower and 320 Nm of force. Both will do 0 to 60 miles per hour in close to 8 seconds and have an authority mileage of more than 200 miles per gallon. Normally, accomplishing this depends on the battery being completely energized consistently. We oversaw around 51 miles per gallon in the 225 in blended driving. CO2 emanations ultimately depend on 30 grams/km for the 2 half-breeds, so they fall into the most reduced vehicle extract obligation section other than EVs, however they will be qualified for the over £40,000 premium. These emanations figures and 40-mile electric just reach likewise mean advantage in kind is low for organization vehicle drivers. The petroleum is estimated at up to 156 grams/km, making it only better than expected for VADE. Standard security pack incorporates post-impact well-being brake, path keep help and programmed crisis slowing down. Move forward to appeal premium, and you likewise get the drive help pack, which adds back cross-traffic ready, versatile voyage control and long-reach vulnerable side checking. The Peugeot 408 has been security tried by Euro NCAP and, maybe disappointingly, scored 4 out of 5 stars. It got 76% for grown-up inhabitant assurance, where you'd anticipate that most vehicles should accomplish more than 80% at any rate. Youngster tenant security scored 84%, which is better, yet it was discounted further for its well-being help frameworks at 65%. In any case, the Testing Association takes note of that while some extra testing was finished for the 408, its score is for the most part founded on the firmly related 308. It's too soon to let whether know there are any continuous issues with the Peugeot 408. Be that as it may, Peugeot's standing for unwavering quality has been improving as of late, which is consoling. A 3-year guarantee is incorporated as standard for additional inward feeling of harmony, and that is limitless mileage for the initial 2 years. It's restricted to 60,000 miles in the 3rd year, however service agreements and administration plans are accessible for an expense.